People,
Okay.
this is us. We're on the Hangout, and it is July 9th, 2014. We've got the radio producer on the line. We've got Rick on the Hangout. Let's cross our fingers on that one. And we're about to get started in just a couple minutes.
he's home though, so that's fine. It was the reason last week it was a
Oh, you're going to blame that. We haven't had him on
we
haven't had him on the Hangout properly for weeks. It's always something.
No, because we haven't had him on the show for weeks.
Oh, right. I forgot that detail.
I was just peeling onions. Now, I was busy peeling onions.
Oh, dear God.
So, can you guys hear me fine on the phone?
Yeah, you're kind of echoey and distant, but...
Yeah. My cordless is not charged up. My headset.
Whose fault is that?
There's an onion someplace that I'm going to blame.
Okay. All right, let's blame the onion.
On speakerphone. Maybe I'm just 1960s radio guy.
No.
No? Okay.
No. No, you're on the... Oh, yeah. You know what? Yeah, you just joined again, so it's good. I'm not doing anything. I don't want it to think I'm blocking you again, so... Yeah, if you just... Anytime you drop off, if you just click the link again, then you should be able to get back on. That's why I also send the link in the email.
And how's my voice now on the phone?
Better?
Okay. So I'll just hold my iPhone like a microphone.
You're holding your iPhone like it's a handheld microphone or something.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. All right. Sure. If it makes you feel cool.
Thank you.
Okay, Jay, you're all broken up. Jay, you're all broken up. I can't hear you. Okay, what? No, you're all broken up you sound like a robot.
You know what's interesting? There's less lag on the Hangout than there is on the phone.
I got disconnected from Skype too. Oh, no, I'm here. Okay, because I can't hear Rick all of a sudden on Skype. Yeah. He's talking. I see his lips moving, but I can't hear him. Oh, there he is. Say it again.
Hello, testing 1 2 3 4 5.
He's just screwing around. He's just messing around. No, I can barely hear you, Rick.
Really?
Say something proper. Say like a sentence.
Hello, testing 1 2 3 4 5.
Okay, that's better. Yeah.
Grr.
Yeah. Do you know who it is? No, you sound good now. It could be me because I keep hearing it. Yeah, your face is there. You gotta you gotta.
How's this?
Like I see your icon there. You're on it, but you're just not fully on it. Whenever we're ready? Okay, let's do it. Thanks. And welcome to the show. This is July 9th, 2014, another Wednesday morning, and we actually are fighting the technical difficulties that often plague the show, and I think we got it all under control. Almost. Anyway, we'll see. I'm Heather Vale, and I'm here with my co-host, Jay Amernick, who is a strategic planner that helps his clients create and implement plans, goals, tactics, and benchmarks. He's also the bridge in Nevada for Israeli companies who want to expand their business in the U.S., and he develops smartphone apps and other inventions. Rick Raddatz is a serial entrepreneur and marketer with a degree in philosophy, which led to his political development that he calls the solution, as well as pentonomics, which is the philosophy behind the solution. I'm Heather Vale, also known as the Unwrapper. I'm a freelance interviewer and journalist in all media, TV, radio, print, and online. Hey guys, welcome to the show.
Welcome. How's it going?
Good, good. How's it in Colorado?
Colorado's nice as always. We had the pool all day yesterday, and we'll be there again today.
Okay, sounds like what I've been doing here.
Right, so do we have Jay on the line or not?
I hear him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not on the Hangout.
I can hear you. I can't see you, but I can hear you. It's a little complicated, yeah, and we're trying to make it even more complicated.
I don't think anyone had Hangout problems in the 1930s. I'm sorry.
Well, right now there's 2 J's on the Hangout. There's 2 J's, so he's joined twice, and the Hangouts don't see him either time. They see his icon, but they don't see him. But we have a treat because for the first time in probably a month, we do have Rick Raddatz on both the radio show and the Hangout. So, Rick, let's start with you. Let's start with the philosophy, pentonomics. Tell us about the solution. What's the whole deal with your political development?
Okay, so here's the solution to our country's political problems. And if you think about it, if we can solve our political problems here, we can copy this solution all across the world, and the world will be a more peaceful place, and we can do all kinds of good things for people around the world. So this is really, really big here. This is about solving our problems and then migrating that solution around the world. And the way you're going to solve our political problems is by first realizing that capitalism, democracy, and defense are the first 3 pillars of society, but there's actually 2 more, okay? Because capitalism does a good job incentivizing individuals, democracy does a good job incentivizing politicians, and national defense and diplomacy do a good job incentivizing other nations, but we don't have a solution yet for properly incentivizing we the people, the collective, the voters, in terms of how we vote. And we don't have a good way of incentivizing we as a species, okay, across the whole planet. And so what we've discovered is a way to do that. You know, we've discovered the solution to these 2 really big problems. And the solution to the voting problem is called cap and prioritize. Cap and prioritize. Step 1 is to cap the government the way the political right wants, and step 2 is to prioritize the spending that remains transparently, you know, actually publishing a prioritized budget so that we can start arguing about priorities, not politics. And when that happens, we're going to find better and better ways to help the people who need help most. That's the proper pursuit of social justice within conservative limits. And so that's how we can heal our nation politically. And as other countries adopt this, we can start to see a more peaceful world, a more compatible world philosophically, where we can start to discuss some of the more, you know, even tougher problems. Like global sustainability that can only really be solved if we all work together. So that's the solution. If you want it in a nutshell, it's called cap and prioritize. When it caps spending like the right wants, and then prioritizes spending like the left wants.
Okay, so explain exactly how capping and prioritizing is going to save the planet from an environmental perspective.
Well, you can't save the planet unless you first have a world full of mature nations, okay? And how are you going to get a world full of mature nations if you can't even get one mature nation? And mature here means a nation that is smart enough and caring enough to set limits and live within those limits. And it turns out that idea, the idea of setting limits... Really? No,
Dad?
I'm still here.
Yeah, I can hear Jay, but I can't hear Rick. I can see Rick, and I can't hear Jay. This is
You're
fun.
kidding. Oh, no.
Rick?
I can hear you, Heather. Can you hear me?
So, and can you reconnect with Rick as well? Because Rick isn't being heard.
I can hear you.
Just to give a rundown on what Rick just said, he said that capitalism
I'm here. Can
incentivizes the individual. Democracy incentivizes the politician. Defense incentivizes
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
And in order to also talk about the other two pillars which make up pentonomics meaning 5, he's proposing that we cap and prioritize, cap being what the right wants, putting limits, and prioritizing being what the left wants, helping the people that need the help. And that, according to Rick's philosophy, will help us as a planet, it'll help us as a species, it'll help us as people as a whole rather than just each individual.
Okay, I should be back now.
Yes, I hear Rick. So,
okay.
As for my nutshelling, yes, I hear Jay and I hear Rick.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool, but I don't see Jay, but that's okay. We'll deal with one thing at a time. Okay. Awesome. Okay, Rick, so did you hear my nutshell?
I heard the tail end of it. I could actually hear you the whole time when you couldn't hear me. I don't know what was going on there, but it's working now. So I think people have the nutshell, so let's go on with the top story, and then we'll see how the solution helps with the top story.
Yeah, and actually I almost picked a top story that would have been right up your alley, talking about the government overspending on their budgets. However, I did not. I picked something a little trickier. So here's the top story for today. Iraqi officials discovered 50 bodies, many of them blindfolded and with their hands bound, in an agricultural area outside a city south of Baghdad today, raising concerns over a possible sectarian killing amid the battle against a Sunni insurgency. The lightning sweep by the insurgents over much of northern and western Iraq the past month has dramatically raised tensions between the country's Shiite majority and Sunni minority. At the same time, splits have grown between the Shiite-led government in Baghdad and the Kurdish autonomy region in the north. In a speech today, Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki accused the Kurdish zone of being a haven for the Islamic extremists and other Sunni insurgents. He didn't provide any evidence, though, and the claims will probably only further strain Baghdad's ties with the Kurds, whose fighters have been battling the militant advance in the north. The bodies, all of them with gunshot wounds, were found in the predominantly Shiite village of Qamishiyya, which is about 60 miles south of Baghdad. An investigation is underway to determine the identities of them as well as the circumstances of the killings. They were all men between the ages of 25 and 40, and it looked like they had been killed a few days earlier and then dumped in the remote area, according to a local police officer and a medical official. While the motives remain unclear, such grisly killings are reminiscent of the worst days of Iraq's sectarian bloodletting in 2006 and 2007. At that time, with a Sunni insurgency raging, Shiite militia and Sunni militant groups were notorious for slaying members of the other sect, and bodies were frequently dumped along roadsides, in empty lots, ditches, and canals. As the levels of violence dropped over time, such discoveries became rare until now. But sectarian tensions have soared once again, and authorities have once again begun to find unidentified bodies since the Sunni militant offensive that swept across much of the northern and western Iraq over the past month. The militant surge is led by the Islamic State extremist group, but other Sunni insurgents have joined, feeling anger in their minority community against the Shiite-led government. On the other side, Shiite militia have rallied around al-Malaki's government to fight back against the militant advance. Kurdish forces have clashed repeatedly with the Sunni militants led by the Islamic State extremist group in recent weeks, and tens of thousands of Iraqi civilians have fled to the Kurdish-controlled areas to escape the militant onslaught. Shiite-dominated Iran, a close ally of al-Maliki, has also been helping Iraq's military, help that's believed to include military advisors. And this week, an Iranian military advisor who was helping coordinate among Shiite militia was killed by a roadside bomb north of Baghdad. He died on Sunday while he was helping organize Shiite militia in the defense of a shrine in the city of Samarra, which is 60 miles north of Baghdad. And that's our top story for July 9th. Jay, what do you think? Uh-oh. Rick?
Jay? Yeah.
What
Can
do
you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Well,
yes.
the question, I guess, is how does the solution, this cap and prioritize idea for our own government spending, how could this possibly be the solution to this problem, 8,000 miles away or more, whatever it is, across the world?
Yeah.
And it turns out these kinds of regional conflicts, religion-based conflicts or tribal conflicts, they're going to keep on festering until the tidal wave of enlightenment washes over them. Okay. And when I say the tidal wave of enlightenment, I'm not being some hippy-dippy woo-woo guy here, because it's happened before.
Because it sure sounded like it.
I know it sounds like it, but it's happened before, because democracy, actually before democracy even, capitalism spread around the free world, or the semi-free world, with kings and so on, monarchs that were lenient towards people trading more freely. And then as democracy kicked in, it spread even further. There's another tidal wave. And we've seen a couple of waves of democracy spread around the world. Not fully, but always generally more. Okay, this is something that works. And so democracy, though, has a problem. Capitalism has a problem in that capitalism might create opportunity, and it doesn't distribute opportunity very well. Okay, it tends to give lots of people a lot of opportunity and a lot of people very little opportunity. And so what Cap and Prioritize is going to do is going to help the government help the people who need help most in ways that actually help them discover their potential and their ability to re-engage in society in the right ways and discover that opportunity. And it might seem unrelated, but if we in America can solve our freedom versus social justice problems and really have a free country that is also socially just at the same time, and as other countries copy that, that's going to spread, and poor democracies will copy it, and pretty soon these other backwards countries are going to be more and more isolated, and they're going to see the free world now succeeding better than ever, and it's because of this new discovery. And that's when people will rise up and want this, okay, whatever this becomes. And that's when we're basically going to be draining the swamp. Okay, so in the meantime, it's tough. It's hard to know what the right thing to do is, but there's also a long-term trend that says this will be solved in time.
Okay, but these conflicts happen because people get extremely passionate over things like, as you mentioned, religion, social issues.
Yep.
So how could just simply capping and prioritizing solve that? I mean, people are passionate about what they're passionate about. They're overly passionate, granted, to the point of, being destructive, being violent in many cases. That's passion gone wrong. However, I don't see cap and prioritizing changing that. I mean, human nature is human nature.
Yeah, it doesn't change it directly. AJ, you here? It's not going to go away ever? In 1,000 years? In 10,000 years? Okay. Yeah. Let me ask you, Jay. Though, in the modern world, is society getting more religious or less religious in the modern world?
Both.
Oh no, I agree. They are not the modern world. They are at best a developing nation and at worst a failed state. But in the modern world, I think you'll agree that religion is on the decline. Yeah, okay.
I
But
don't know about that. I look around here and they're like, even at you. I mean, I'm going to use the example again. Just go on your Facebook timeline. You see people. These are the things they used to say don't talk about. Don't talk about sex. Don't talk about politics. Don't talk about religion. On Facebook, they're talking about all of them, and they're being very vicious when they have a certain stance that they're taking. So I'm going to say that religion has not gone away. It seems
no.
like it may have a little bit, but it really has not.
No, it hasn't gone away. But if you look at what is the fastest growing segment of the population in this area of religion, and it's the people who are spiritual but not religious, meaning they have a sense of.
No, that's a small segment. I don't think that's a lot of people. I know so many people that go to church. So.
No, but no.
Okay, I'm one of the spiritual, not religious. I'll put that out there right now. Yes, that's me.
Okay.
However, I still feel like I'm in the minority. So.
You might be. I'm not sure. Okay. Go ahead.
What?
Go ahead, Jay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, but who wins the war? They excuse me. Some goofy dictator, some goofy religion might win the battle, but who wins the war in time? I say it's the good guys. It's the more calmer religions. It's the more peaceful religions.
Okay.
It's not
yeah.
easy,
So Buddhism
thing.
will win. All right. We've got that. All right, you know what? This is a different topic of conversation. Let's hold that thought. Let's talk about this when we get back from the break. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with you on the political fix.
All right. Hey, Jay. Earth to Jay.
Yeah. Okay. So I can talk to Rick, but I can't talk to Jay. Oh, Jay, can you hear us? Okay. No, Did you try closing out your window and then getting on again? Yeah, close out the browser, then open up your email, click the link again.
Yeah, Jay, your voice quality is way down from last week.
Doug?
Your voice quality is horrible. Is it a Skype thing? Is your internet having problems?
Rick. Hang on, Rick. I'm listening to Doug. What's the trick? Doug? Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. We have to use the computer, but no. The trick is actually to reboot shortly before. That's, yeah.
Talk about religious extremism.
Are you on dial-up? Oh, okay.
Now, I think this is an example of how technology might actually create religious extremism. We just heard him utter several swear words and Jesus Christ in the same sentences several times. I think that technology actually might be the cause of religious extremism. In Jay's case.
Technology is also the cause of violence. I mean, I know people that throw their Bluetooth headsets out the window when they don't work, so. Yeah.
Okay, so Heather, how's my voice quality?
We're not going to take it anymore.
Heather, how's my voice quality for you on the phone?
It's good.
Okay. There's Jay on Hangout. Oh, he's gone. There he is.
I'm
here.
He is. I'm on the phone.
You're so
for
blocky,
God's
you look like a
sakes, all right.
Minecraft video.
As long as I don't open the toolbox, God forbid.
Yeah.
As long as I open the fucking bottom third. God almighty.
See, there you go again. Religious extremism.
I mean, what the... Huh?
Are we on the? Are we on the
Acknowledge
area?
my religion.
Yeah. No.
No, I hope not. This is...
Shut down the computer half an hour before. Then you've got to close all things on startup. That's always important. But make sure the computer lasts about 30 minutes before showtime. And then never use video and Google Hangouts. All those things are going to hurt you. But if you do, just make sure you kind of follow these steps. Don't use video and shut down the computer half hour. At least do the shut down the computer half hour before showtime. I know that seems strange, but we do it, and it works. Your computer will heat up, things will heat up, and when it's pulling so many resources all at once, it's a nightmare, even with the devices you're using.
Cool.
What are you doing? Maybe I'm just going to have somebody come over here and hold the antenna. For God's sake. Jesus. I'm warming up the Philco here.
We're ready.
Ready.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Political Fix. I'm Heather Vale, and we do now have Jay and Rick on the Hangout, and we do have Jay and Rick on the radio broadcast as well. So no matter where you're listening to us at politicalfixradio.com, you should be able to hear us all, and you should be able to see us all. Now let's hope that that sticks. Before the break, we were talking about religion and whether or not it has become more prevalent or less prevalent, and what the heck that has to do with politics. Rick, I think we interrupted you in the middle of a thought about enlightenment.
Well,
No.
I was going to say that I agree with Jay that these religious-fueled feuds between sects in the Middle East, they have a lot of staying power. There's no question. And what I'm saying is the way that's finally going to end is when the free world finally gets its act together on this camp and prioritize idea, so that we, the free world, can be more free and more socially just than ever before, and then that wave of social justice washes over other countries, and eventually the bad actors of the world are so isolated that they finally lose the ability to execute their plans, and we drain the swamp. That might take a while, but we're actually closer, I think, than we realize.
Okay. Jay, what do you think about that? Why? That makes no sense. So, in other words, you're saying that people that have extremely opposing views are getting along, but people who have slightly a little bit different views just can't stand each other. Okay, give us one deal breaker point. Okay. Okay, but I mean, you could draw the same parallel. There's people who think Jesus Christ is the be-all and end-all, the one to worship. What would Jesus do? Blah, blah, blah. Jesus is your Savior. Love Jesus. And to me, he was just a good teacher, So, but I'm not going to hate that person because of it. That makes no sense. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll debate it.
The Emperor has no clothes.
No, at
Go for
the
it, Rick.
quantum mechanical level, it's just a bunch of quarks and
Atoms.
stuff bouncing around and spinning.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of probability. Water is like 99.999% air. Or at least the space between
Water
the
does
water,
not
the water
exist
molecules.
until you observe it existing. Until that
Yeah,
moment
yeah.
of observation, the water may be or not be equally.
So really, Heather has it right. The perceiver is wet. So so you're all wet, but the water itself is just a quantum mechanical vibration.
Okay.
Yeah. If you ever saw Men in Black, there's a whole universe of little funny creatures living in the space between the hydrogen and the oxygen. This whole universe is down there. You don't even know about it.
Well, you know what? Much of this show today, we really are talking about science fiction. I mean, we're talking about solving these world issues, and all I can keep thinking is there's going to be some movie in the future where this is the aftermath of what happened in Iraq because they couldn't get along, and it's going to be like Mad Max all over again. But anyway.
Well, all I'm saying is let's solve our own problems first, and as other countries copy our success, things will get better even around the world.
I don't think they'll copy, though. We have tried, not we, the U.S. has tried forcing their perspective and their ways of doing things on countries overseas. They have gone in and said, oh, we're going to make it different. We're going to change things. You can do things our way now. And I don't think they want to do that. I don't think that's going to happen.
Capitalism in one form or another. The concept of money and property and trading and setting prices through free trade. That concept existed thousands of years ago in Greece and other places. So, this idea of capitalism has been around for a long time, but it wasn't really able to take off until democracy came along too, and the two of them help each other because democracy creates a kind of a fair playing field so people can feel free to invest more, feel safe investing more, and that advances capitalism faster. And then when we add in this next pillar, the idea of capped and prioritized spending so that government is helping the people who need help most within sustainable limits, and so now we have social justice as another pillar working for us here, that's going to make capitalism and democracy work even better. And so that's going to help spread this model even further. And it's not going to be fast, it's not going to be instantaneous certainly, but it's going to happen. And as it happens, the world will get even more peaceful.
Okay. All right, so let's take another quick break. When we come back, we're going to have Inside Perspective with Jay Amernick. And if anyone listening wants to join in this conversation and weigh in with their thoughts, you can give us a call at 888-627-6008. That's 888-627-6008. And we'll be right back on The Political Fix. Cool. So Rick, sometimes I move Jay to segment 3, but depending on what the conversation is like around the top story. So that's why they're like segment 2 and 3 are changeable.
No worries. Jay, are you on the phone? Because you're not on the Hangout anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, what happened with the Hangout? You were there, then you were gone. Like a ghost. You looked like a little ghost. Oh, come on. It's just hanging out. It's just hanging out.
Hey,
no pressure.
Jay, do you have a physical landline as well? You don't? Okay.
Huh. And did you throw it out the window by chance? Okay. Yeah, okay.
Now, Heather, just a little tip for you. When you're doing the top story, we can tell that you're reading it. So you gotta get better at that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll work on that.
Yeah.
Well, I see your icon, but I don't see you. I don't see your video.
You know what, Jay? Why don't you just disable the video portion of your Hangout and let the audio come through more clearly? That might have more staying power. Okay.
All right, but your audio's still not coming through because you didn't pop up, so. When you talk, I should see you pop up as the main person, and you didn't, so your audio's not working on the Hangout either. Okay, but it's not coming through on this end.
No, it's not. It's the SUNY's fault.
Yeah.
SUNY's.
It's the SUNY's fault. Are we back? We must be close to back.
I still don't want to do a rant. I want to do an educational lecture.
No. Yeah.
How about Rick's recital?
Yeah. Yeah, no one's going to care about that.
How about Rick is right?
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. That'd be fun. Yeah, exactly. You gotta balance out. Yeah.
Okay, Doug, are we ready? We're ready.
Doug? I can't hear Doug either. I don't know. No. Nope, we didn't hear you. Okay then, welcome back to the Political Fix. I'm Heather Vale here with Jay Amernick and Rick Raddatz, and you probably just heard a bunch of our banter. I thought that break was taking a long time. Anyway, so before the break we were arguing over a bunch of stuff, but now we're going to move right along and we're going to get into the inside perspective with Jay Amernick because he is taking a different stance this week than he has over the past couple weeks. So take it away, Jay.
No, 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 no. It can't establish a religion. It can favor religion. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, why is this against the right? I'm not getting the connection here. Okay, but you said there's no prayer in school. Okay, well, I think it would depend. Like, if it's a Catholic school, like a Catholic private school, then they should be able to have their prayers. Okay. Right. Okay, and so yes, public schools, right? There should be no prayers because there are people from many different religions attending that school, and nothing should be forced on anyone. Yes, okay, I agree. But why is that? So you're saying that the right is trying to say that there should be Christian prayer in public schools? Is that what you're saying? They're saying there should be non-denominational prayer in school? What what are they saying? Right, but you're saying that the right is saying that there should be, and therefore the right is saying that it should be Christian. They're not going to say, the right is not going to say there should be Muslim prayer. And wouldn't that be okay? I mean, I remember a debate back in, I don't know, we're probably talking 20, 30 years ago in Canada where some Mounties wanted to be Royal Canadian Mounted Police, who typically wear the Mountie hat. They wanted to wear their turbans instead of the Mountie hats, and they were ultimately allowed to because that is the headgear that their religion had established. So they were allowed to wear that instead of the Mountie hats. So if by chance it was passed that yes, non-denominational prayer does have a place here, which I'm not saying it does or it doesn't, but if they pass that law, would it not be okay for everyone to worship their own God in their own way during that prayer period? Well, then they could just worship their
Well, no,
or not
atheists
worship.
can just.
They could not worship. Okay, Rick's an atheist. Rick, what would you would you just meditate during that period, or would you just like stare at the floor? Like, what would you do if you had to have a moment of silence when everyone else was praying?
The atheist can take a moment of silence and just ponder things. I mean, it
exactly.
doesn't have to be used any particular way. Now, Jay, I'm okay. I'd like to respond to Jay if I could.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. One of the problems with public schools is that the government runs the school instead of just funding the school. See, if the government gave vouchers to people who needed help paying for private school, $15,000, $18,000 per kid, it would still save money on average, I believe. That could allow every individual family to decide where to put their individual kids, and then we could still have government-funded schools, but now if I believe this or if I believe that, I can find a school that kind of believes something close to me, and we can be free to have prayer in those schools that choose to have it. So that I think is the real solution, and that is a way of allowing government to honor various religions and even help fund religions in a way, but we're funding it through people's personal choices, which the Supreme Court has regularly found to be an acceptable kind of wall that doesn't cross the church-state barrier. No. No, we're not. No, we're not.
No, because the Catholic school is private.
No, we're not. We're going to give that money to, we're going to give that voucher to parents who then decide what's the best education for their kids. And it's the parents who are deciding Catholic.
Okay, but he's just saying that every parent has a choice of what they want to do with that equally dispersed amount. No, it wouldn't be, because your parents would have been able to choose to send you to Jewish school, and someone else's parents get to choose. But no, because it's a collective pot.
No. Well, there's two questions here. One question is what's in the Constitution. The other question is what should be in the Constitution. Well, what's in the Constitution is it says the government cannot establish a religion, and it cannot basically restrict the free practice of religion. And funding school vouchers, where people then pick the school that mimics their own beliefs, that is not establishing religion, and that is not inhibiting a religion, and so it passes the current constitutional test. Now, if you think the Constitution should be changed, let's hear your proposal, but I think you're being too aggressive on this one.
Okay, so in theory, Jay, I'm agreeing with you on these big picture points that you're putting out there. However, Rick makes a good point as to what the solution could be, and the solution is not specifically endorsing or disparaging any religion. It's saying, okay, look, we're going to give this equally to parents based on whatever criteria we have, and then let the parents decide, and that's the ultimate solution for not having the government involved in religion. It's totally up to the parent.
Woohoo!
Uh-huh. Okay, the way it stands right now is if you want your kid to go to a specific religious-focused school, for example, a Catholic private school, because they're the most prevalent ones, so let's use that as an example, you pay extra money for your kid to go to a school where they receive Catholic religious teachings rather than just generic historical teachings. So Rick is saying, okay, instead of doing it that way, where a lot of people get the free education, but they're all fighting over what's going on, let's just make it that everybody gets a choice, and we'll have some schools that focus on Judaism, we'll have some schools that focus on Catholicism, and then the parents get to decide. And I'm sure we would have some that were spiritual and not religious.
Yeah.
But
yes, they can through vouchers. I'm sorry, I didn't say anything. That was the voice of God speaking.
Okay. That was the voice of God. All right, very good. That was. All right, you know what? We're going to take one final break. We're going to make this one a short one, and we'll be right back with wrap up this discussion, and we're going to hear Rick rant about something, and he's going to rant. We'll be right back on the Political Fix. Okay, let's make this one just really short, because the last one was super long. Okay, but so our behind-the-scenes banter went to air?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, we were arguing about something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay. We're still getting the show together here.
Yeah,
so,
and it went to Hangouts anyway, so it doesn't matter. But
okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We're not worried about it. We're not worried about it.
Yeah. Okay, let's do it. Welcome back to the Political Fix. I'm Heather Vale here with Jay Amernick and Rick Raddatz, and before the break we were having an argument between whether or not the government should be involved in religion in schools and whether that would actually prevent Rick's solution, which is to have vouchers and have the parents choose. And the voice of God apparently tells us, according to Rick, that it's okay to have vouchers and let the parents choose. So, did you guys have any final thoughts?
My lips were not moving during that time. That was the voice of God coming in on the line. I'm pretty sure.
Well, actually, I saw you on the Hangout, and your lips were moving. Just saying.
I think that was a delayed part of the video from Google Hangouts. That has nothing to do with what the voice you heard. It was server lag. That was lag.
But I mean, the bottom line is, it's not black and white. There is some room for discussion on various solutions here, and I mean, Jay's saying it has to be black and white. But if it has to be black and white, I mean, I don't know.
No.
We have then.
Yes, but it comes to this because it's like freedom of speech, because there's a slippery slope, and once you cut something off and once you let something in, it's going to keep going and keep going and keep going, and these are the many problems we have now, which is going to lead into my. No. There's nothing wrong with Catholic schools.
So we could have private schools all over the place that were each focused on a different religion, and you wouldn't have a problem with that. But as soon as it's a public school, that's where you go.
No, of course not. No, it's government cannot fund it. They cannot use people's tax dollars to fund it. It's the people's money.
And I disagree.
For the same reason, by the way, and here's where it protects the right. The decision the government has made on abortion is abortion is legal, but the government cannot fund it. That is the compromise.
Well, okay. Who funds it?
I'd like to do a rant about political show co-hosts bringing up brand new topics right before my rant.
Yeah, I know. You just opened a whole can of worms there, Jay. All right. So speaking of the rant.
Before we get to Rick's rant, let's talk about
so Rick is going to give us his outside perspective. Take it away, Rick.
Okay. So today I want to rant about people who think they know the past, and so they think they can predict the future. Okay? Because, clearly there's no way to predict the future unless you do take lessons from the past. But you got to be careful, because some things are truly trends that tend to dominate the future, and other things are lesser trends or even just one-off, things that happen. And I think we can all agree on those general ideas that some trends are bigger than others, and then some things aren't really trends, they're just aberrations in history. Now, I'm going to argue that the biggest trends of all are the things that simply cannot change. And whenever we ignore these unchangeable things, we have problems. But the unchanging thing always wins. Okay, so that provides kind of a bedrock, a constraint on what the future might allow to happen. It's unchanging natural laws of society, of man, of humankind. And so I'm going to say that our founding fathers got many of these natural laws right. And I think one of the tightest, best examples of this, of getting it right, is James Madison when he said, ambition must be made to counteract ambition. Ambition must be made to counteract ambition. That was a beautiful statement of natural law, and also the solution to natural law, in response to natural law, because ambition is going to exist whether we like it or not. It's going to go out of control if we don't set some limits, and make ambition counteract ambition. But I'm going to say real quickly to wrap it up here, that James Madison and our founding fathers got it right when they made individual ambition counteract itself and create capitalism, because individuals compete in capitalism. They got it right when they made politicians compete, political ambition compete, in democracy, representing democracy, a constitutional republic. They got that largely right. And they were correct when they made foreign nations their ambition counteract themselves by having a strong defensive military and diplomacy, making other nations think twice about taking over our nation. So that's where they got ambition properly structured. And where our founding fathers just didn't finish the job was in making collective ambition, our collective desire to have a better nation. That ambition can lead to overspending, overtaxing, and wasteful government if not properly tapped. But if collective ambition is made to compete over limited government funds in a transparent, prioritized budget, that's where the ambition can be harnessed. And now we're harnessing collective ambition in the same way. And so those are some of the natural laws, I think, that dominate every other trend. Even the example earlier in the show about religious battles in the Middle East. These are not as dominant as natural law, which will never change.
Okay. It's interesting how the whole show ended up being about religion.
Yeah.
Well, we blame you, Heather.
Well, you chose your inside perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I did.
yeah. And Rick chose his rant.
But mine was about separation. Mine was about separation. All
right. So, what are your thoughts on Rick's rant?
So yeah, the whole concept of natural law not changing. It goes back to what we've been talking about before about how we make our actual laws. We don't make them based on emotion because emotions change. We make them based on logic, and natural law falls into the logic realm.
Okay.
So you're agreeing with me that our better and better,
I'm agreeing with James Madison.
Designed government to work with natural law instead of against it. That successful government will tend to, drain the swamp of humanity and eventually win over the religious battles in the Middle East, right? Do you agree with that now?
I think we'll be able to clean up our corner of the world. I think there are always going to be places that are going to be trouble, for whatever reason. But yes, and I'm agreeing with James Madison. Actually.
All right.
But I am agreeing with your assessment.
Okay.
Absolutely. And of course you have to work with natural law because it's not changeable. It'd be like protesting plate tectonics.
Yes,
exactly. It is what it is. You can't fix it. You can't dump cement in it and keep them, in place. The power of those is going to be greater than anything man can come off with.
So Jay, the one thing that we still seem to disagree with on this show, and maybe we won't resolve it today, but I am saying that if the government, out of their capped and prioritized budget, ends up funding school vouchers, and some people use those vouchers to pay for Catholic school,
Yes.
I'm saying that that's perfectly fine and consistent with our current Constitution and consistent with what the Constitution should be. And you're saying what?
It is. I'm saying it is not, and actually, and I'll tell you why. And I'll give it to you from the perspective, and this is why the religious right should oppose to it, because what's going to happen is maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next year, but someday, someone's going to come, some legislator is going to come along and say, you know what, we're giving this money to Catholic schools. They should be teaching A, B, and C, and then they're going to try to impose their curriculum on to Catholic schools, Jewish schools, Muslim schools, Buddhist schools, whatever it may be.
But technically, he's not saying that they're giving the money to the schools. They're giving the money to the parents to choose where they're going to send their kids.
That's government money.
But it's not going directly to the schools. It's going to the parents.
The government already does do that, even with private schools, because they say you have to have at least this kind of, I think states do this more than the government, but I think the government with the Common Core is trying to. Well, even private schools, you have to teach at least these basic, common subjects.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is obviously an ongoing debate, because you know what? There's no black and white answer here. There's a lot of gray area.
There is. Rick is right.
No. As long as it doesn't oppose that individual school's religious teachings, that's a different story. If they're saying you have to teach math, there's no religion that's opposed to math, right?
Okay, but as soon as we get into history and as soon as we get into science, then then we're opening another new can of worms. So
you know what we need? What we need is a movement that chants Rick is right, black and white. Rick is right, black and white.
Okay. Let's not do that. No, but let's continue this conversation on another show, because we have run out of time for today. Anyone listening, if you want to catch up on what we've done in the past, you can look at all the archives, both video behind the scenes and the radio programs at politicalfixradio.com. Join us there, check it out. You can also look at Rick ranting on stage at the TED conference. We'll be back with you next week. That was not a rant. That was actually a very professional speech.
That was me at my most professional and calm capacity. Yes.
Yeah, and that's the last time you're ever going to see that. So go and check that out, politicalfixradio.com. On behalf of myself and my co-hosts Jay Amernick and Rick Raddatz, we wish you an amazing week, and we'll be back with you next Wednesday on the Political Fix.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to The Political Fix, the show that investigates a political solution combining the sense of the left and the right. On behalf of Rick Raddatz, Jay and Nick, and myself, Heather Vale, we're glad you chose.
That was the wrong extra. We have a new one where I don't say Heather Vale Goss, it just says Heather Vale.
Oh, really? On the outro? All right. I know why. Because I took the intro and then I was waiting for your approval, and then we got approval and I didn't do the outro. Forgive me. I will. I'm going to change it out on this one, and it'll be ready for the next one. Forgive me.
Okay.
We'll have that fixed. I'm sorry. You guys did a
Okay,
great show, to be honest.
All right. You too. All right. Bye. Okay, so we're still on the Hangout. Anything you guys want to say before we sign off the Hangout?
Well, check out my new lower third.
And Rick, we can't hear.
Are you on the Hangout?
All right, I can't hear.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear him now. Okay.
Okay. Check out my lower third. Hello, test.
Wow, that's creepy. That's really creepy. And on that note, we're going to sign off this Hangout. Thank you for joining us, and we'll check you out next week, and hopefully we'll have the technology better in place. Cheers.